I just got back from the movie theater after watching Fantastic Four First Steps, and I definitely have opinions. On this channel, I watched the previous couple Fantastic Four movies, not the horrible new one, and not the original Roger Corman one that was made just to keep the rights, but like the two actual Fantastic Four movies. They weren't great, they had their moments, but I think it was good to watch them because I felt more prepared to watch this movie. I've never read the comics, I don't know anything about Fantastic Four from the comic books other than just passive cultural osmosis. And I have to say, this is the definitive Fantastic Four movie. I'm going to talk about spoilers. This is my initial reaction. This is totally unscripted. These are just my fresh out of the theater thoughts. First, I want to talk about the aesthetic of this movie. I absolutely love, and I know a million other people have said this, but I absolutely love the retro futuristic look. I love the 1960s, but futuristic technology that's both more and less advanced than our current technology, as if somebody in 1965 had to imagine what 2025 would look like given their perspective. It might look something like this. Some of the technology is a little bit far-fetched. It seems that if they have interstellar travel, maybe they'd have another way of presenting sound than a vinyl album. Seems like if some things progress, others would progress along with them, but that doesn't matter. It's a parallel universe. You have to suspend disbelief a little bit. And I love the look. Just everything else aside, the movie looks great. It's visual eye candy. That alone makes it worth watching. I love that New York looks a little bit like New York. I saw the Empire State Building, but a lot of the other high rises were different. Some of them had like Jetsons things on poles. They look very different from any building that you would actually see in New York. And I love that the big jumbotrons are actually like giant tube televisions. Not sure how that would work precisely, but I thought it was neat that they're actually just giant TVs. I like that there are flying police cars. I like the flying cars. We don't get explanations of how they work. There's no science fiction technobabble. This is how flying cars work. They just are there, and they're just normal that they're there, and that's cool. I wasn't expecting them to go into interstellar space into this thing. Now, I knew the Fantastic Four got their powers from going into space, being hit by some cosmic whatever, and that altered their DNA so they can do things like stretch, light themselves on fire, turn invisible, create force fields, or just be a giant rock monster. But we all knew that already going in. What I didn't know is that they had their spaceship that actually could go to other planets very quickly. And again, it seems a little disjointed that they'd have like cassette tape technology and interstellar faster than light technology in the same universe. I think it's cool. Doesn't make any logical sense, but it doesn't matter that it doesn't make logical sense. It's just fun. I love the family dynamic of the movie. I think it's excellent to see a married couple having a kid, and the focus of the movie is protecting that child. That's the core of the film, is how important family is. They're willing to risk everything, and everybody else is everything too, for the sake of their child. But really, what person would ever, under any circumstances, willingly give up their child? Nobody. So, the Silver Surfer shows up. She announces that Galactus is coming to eat their planet. Enjoy the last few minutes that you have left, because that's all you get. Rejoice in the last couple of minutes you have before your planet gets destroyed. I don't know about you, but probably would have a better time not knowing that my planet was about to be eaten. But in any event, that's the Silver Surfer. Now, I would like somebody in the comic book world, please explain the appeal of Silver Surfer. I know there's a bit of a controversy. This is a female Silver Surfer. In the comics, the Silver Surfer was a guy, except in a parallel reality version, which I guess this is. Basically, Silver Surfer is Galactus's puppet. Silver Surfer just announces Galactus, hey everybody, Galactus is going to eat your planet now. Too bad. And then that's the end of that. Why did Galactus spare her planet so that she would just announce his coming? Why would the coming need to be announced? Can't Galactus just go eat planets without a Silver Surfer announcing it? In the comics, presumably Silver Surfer gets away from Galactus and becomes a hero on Earth. I don't understand how that works, so please, comic book people, explain to me why Silver Surfer is so awesome. I don't really get it. It just seems like Silver Surfer announces Galactus, Silver Surfer sacrifices him or herself to save the world from Galactus, and that's the whole character. I don't really see a lot of depth there. Boy Silver Surfer, girl Silver Surfer, I really don't see the difference, aside from the parts. Let's talk about the main four. I despised, not in this movie, but in the previous movies, I did not like Johnny Storm. I thought he was arrogant. Chris Evans played him as completely narcissistic and unlikable. I don't think that's Chris Evans' fault. That was just the direction he was given. But in this movie, the character is actually likable. He's still got some attitude. He's still got some cool swagger to him, but he's not a narcissistic asshole. And I thought that was a big improvement over the previous films. Pedro Pascal, who, everybody talks about him being in everything, and it's true, but he's a good actor, so why not? He was fine. Sue Storm was fine. Ben was fine. The four seemed like the characters, and I appreciated that they all had something to do in the movie. There were not tremendous character arcs. The closest thing we get to a character arc is Mr. Fantastic realizing that he is sort of obsessed with figuring things out logically and doesn't quite have the feelings that he might otherwise need to have to function in society. But that's minor. Really, the characters don't get a lot of growth, but you know what? That's okay, because the movie has a proper story and they're struggling against something as a cohesive unit. There's little disagreements about how to proceed, but they don't stop being a team, and I think that's excellent. So many team-up movies, they have to have fights between them, they have to have the part where the team breaks up. There's none of that here. It's just the Fantastic Four doing Fantastic Four stuff while being the Fantastic Four, and I think that's great. We get the superheroes all along. I love the little montage at the beginning where we get introduced to them, so if you don't know who these people are, you're brought up to speed pretty quickly. The superheroes are the superheroes from the beginning of the film, and they're still the superheroes at the end of the film, and I think that's excellent. Galactus looks cool. I'm so glad that Galactus wasn't just a weird cloud monster that you don't really see, but Galactus is an actual person. A friggin' gigantic person, but an actual physical person. And the scope and scale when they present Galactus to you is pretty amazing. When the Fantastic Four take their spaceship into Galactus's... Is it Galactus's spaceship? I don't know. But when they go and actually see Galactus, hey, Galactus, how's it going? Please don't eat our planet. Galactus says, I'm going to eat your planet unless you give me the baby for reasons that aren't really explained. Galactus thinks that this baby can grow up to be another Galactus or something. I don't know. Doesn't matter. What's important is that Galactus wants the baby. The Fantastic Four don't want to give up the baby, hence conflict, hence drama, hence suspense, and action ensues, and we get a lot of fun. Galactus, when he arrives on Earth, ditches his spaceship and just goes down, walks around, and tries to snatch the baby. Fantastic Four doing fantastic-y stuff around, trying to stop him. And I have to say, despite Galactus's scale, he's like a humanoid Godzilla. It wasn't as threatening as I thought it could be, because really, he can be defeated by the Fantastic Four. Johnny Storm burns out his eyes for a second so he can't see. Sue Storm's able to push him around. He's not indestructible. So they do have a fighting chance to defeat him, which they do, but it seemed like he wasn't quite the threat they built him up to be. I don't know, that's just me. But even so, Galactus looked really, really cool. And the computer graphics, obviously it's CGI, looked excellent. Can't complain about the movie visually in any way. The mid-credit sequence, we see that Doomsday shows up. Okay, teasing Avengers Doomsday. Now, this movie is not really in the proper MCU. It's not in the same universe, but it's in the same multiverse. Why can't superhero movies have their own universes? Why does everything need to be an interconnected thing now? I understand that the Marvel Cinematic Universe was groundbreaking, and the DCU's trying to relaunch and reboot itself with an interconnected universe, but sometimes you just want a movie that stands on its own. And even though this movie is interconnected in ways that we haven't quite been shown yet, other than it's going to tie into Doomsday, Fantastic Four First Steps stands on its own, and you don't need to know anything about anything to watch this movie. Even the little recap they do, they mention some Fantastic Four defeated this bad guy, Fantastic Four defeated that bad guy. I'm assuming those are other villains from the comics. Let me know in the comments, but I'm thinking that's a pretty safe assumption. But this movie absolutely stands on its own. You don't need a bunch of other stuff. If the Marvel Universe didn't exist, and this movie just existed by itself in a bubble, it would work perfectly, maybe even a little bit better, because it wouldn't have been bringing in baggage from other Marvel things. People bring their opinions of Marvel to this movie and sort of watch it through that lens. I think this movie absolutely stands on its own, and I think probably is better. If you just pretend the rest of the Marvel Universe doesn't exist and just watch this movie, you're going to be entertained, I would think. I think this movie is very strong. It's a little choppy at the ending, maybe. The solution doesn't quite feel as earned as it could. Even though Galactus is huge, he did seem to be defeated a little easily. He was kind of distracted. when he has Mr. Fantastic in his hands, like, ooh, stretchy guy, and he just pulls stretchy guy. It's just, look at me, I'm Galactus, and I have Mr. Fantastic. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. Did you enjoy Fantastic Four First Steps? Can somebody tell me why the movie is called First Steps? Is it because they have a baby and it had its first steps? Is it the first steps into the Fantastic Four universe? Is it just a title that sounds like a cool title? Eric Wilford Watson signing out.